They come. I drink a lot of work for it.
Okay, we're good. Call the meeting to order. Thank you for attending this afternoon. We're going to get in, start with a roll call. And can we take a roll call?
Mr. Linderman?
Here?
Mr. Adams?
Here.
Ms. Hamilton? Here. Mr. Smith?
Here.
Mayor Wolf?
Here. This is a special meeting for the city administrator and social media posts that recently occurred. Not on the agenda, but obviously needs to happen. We'd like to hear from the citizens first. When we're done with that, we'll go ahead and I'm going to let Chris have a say, and then we're going to move to the table, and then we're going to take some action. So, if that works.
I'll be first.
Excuse me.
Can I go first? Because I don't think everybody knows the whole story. And then it's gonna be a whole-
We know enough.
All right, maybe one of the first things I ought to say is, nothing's gonna be tolerated here, guys. We have to stay by the rules, okay? So if we're in the audience speaks from the podium, and then sits back down, the next person comes up. When we're at the table, we're gonna speak at the table. That's common courtesy. I know there's a lot of emotions going on right now. Believe me, there's a lot of emotions been going on for a number of days right here at this table. So we want to try to get through this properly, okay? Chris, I'm going to go ahead and let the citizens speak first.
Okay.
I'm Karen Langford, Mexico Beach, 124 4th Street. Now I wrote to you personally, and I CC'd all of the council members about the post that was offensive to me and to many. And I felt like your response to me was
Mr.
not
Talk to
sincere.
the council, please.
Excuse me?
Just talk to the council.
Well, his response to me was not sincere. It was full of excuses.
Okay.
Okay? Yes, he has an autistic brother. That's fine. I had a physically impaired brother. I would never, never use that word. And as a teacher, I tell students in the hallways that I don't even teach. If I even hear it, I pull them off to the side and I explain to them because they are children and they don't understand the significance of what that word is. It's not even used federally anymore. The federal government took that out because of how offensive it is. And then for him to post it on social media. And yes, I'm not your friend. Yes, some of your so-called friends shared it. But as I tell my students who are much younger than us, it doesn't matter. Once you post something, it is hard to get it back. And it is hard for people to have any respect for you once it's out there. And you said in your post that you didn't mean anything by it towards the mentally handicapped. But you did. And your family would use that. Well, just post it. Send it to an email to your family. Don't broadcast it. You said there's multiple definitions for the word. No, there's not. No, there's not. It's very stupid. Foolish was the only definition I could find. And it also stated that it is no longer used because it is so offensive. It is supposed to be intellectually disabled. And those are the students I teach. When I started teaching, we used mental retardation. So for your choice of words were truly offensive, and to think that you were calling the people of Mexico Beach. I also found the employee handbook on the website. And in that handbook, it speaks about the conduct. Yes, you have the right to a personal life, but as an employee, you should keep in mind, even while off duty, you represent the city of Mexico Beach. There was a section on social media. You are responsible for what you post online. And by creating an online content, you have to consider the risk that you take when you post that. And as a teacher, I would have been fired for that because I had the same type, a very similar code of conduct book that I have to read. I have to sign that I've read it, and I have to abide by it, or I'm fired. So, shame on you.
Anybody else out in the audience?
I'm not Bruce Van Arsdale, 56 Azalea Drive. I'm not on social media. I don't mean to offend anybody, but I don't know what was said. Could somebody tell me?
Yeah, I mean, it was a post that was posted on a private page that got shared to Mexico Beach, as far as I understand it. This is Chris Hubbard. Me reading all the comments on social media Mexico Beach, and the other part isn't there, and that's the part.
Is there anything in this file about saying something wrong or doing something like that?
We'll go over all that to the table.
Okay, okay. All right, good enough.
Answer the question. He asked. Answer
Yes,
it.
yes, we will answer that at the table.
That's all I have.
I can tell you that Chris has been reprimanded by me when I was mayor, and he refused to sign my reprimand. I brought it to the table, and the council refused to do anything about it. And it was about social media as well as some other issues that we had. And so yeah, he does have something that was physically given to the clerk of court, the city clerk, to put in his file. Now, whether she did it or not, based on my giving it to her and asking her to put it in the file, I don't know. But yes, he was reprimanded, and there is public record that he was brought to the table for something very similar to this. Not to speak of his previous tenure here, he had the same issues. So it's time that we do something about this as citizens. We do not deserve this type of behavior in our government. It's an embarrassment.
Chris Phillips. Lasted daily on a daily. Because the ideas and the opinions that he comes up with, I see him trying to move the city forward. And all I see is hate, hate, hate. not to defend the word he used, but I could definitely defend his post as a whole.
Come on, you're running right here. Come on.
Cindy Arnold, 38th Street. I haven't been here very long, but just to read that post and the other posts and the things that I've seen in the past, his behavior is totally unbecoming his position. Mexico Beach should be ashamed to have somebody like him on their staff and to support him over and over and over. I do know there are some good old boy things that I came across just by being here this short time. I don't like it. No, I haven't come in to volunteer to do anything, but I've been at these meetings. I'm a taxpayer. And I expect something to be done when somebody is so belligerent and egotistical and looking like, to the public, to me, I can't speak for all of you, looking like he's trying to get ahead being in this position, and he's being supported, and people are helping him do that. Just my 2 cents.
Alex Hogan, I live on 7th Street. I agree with the gentleman back here. I think Chris has done a pretty good job of moving us forward in many areas. However, that does not eliminate what he did. Personally, I think he totally disrespected all of us members that we've hired him. And I don't think it's necessary. I think he has brought darkness on Mexico Beach. We have just come out of a period, almost a year, from our ex-mayor dividing us. This even though I like Chris, is it to terminate his duties as CA, we need to regroup and finally come together as a community, and let's go forward. Thank you.
Any other citizens?
Bill Hamilton, use an analogy. Sometime between Bear Bryant and James Collins, University of Alabama hired a coach named Mike Price. He lasted almost at a topless go-go joint, drunk and disorderly, flirting with the girls, called the roll tide roll as he was putting rolls of cash in their garter belts, wherever he put them. He got back to Tuscaloosa, and Mel Moore, the athletic director, called him into his office and said that was not becoming the Alabama coach. Mike Price told him, said, what I do on my own time is my business. He found out he was wrong. He represented the University of Alabama 24/7, 365, and that was not in keeping of the tradition that Alabama wanted to portray, and he was immediately terminated. I think that philosophy could carry over an immediate termination for Chris, just on that one item. And I'm sure there are other items that could be discussed to substantiate that position and his termination.
Anybody else in the audience?
Sorry, but I have to say one more thing. I've been sitting here, I'm Michelle Miller, probably answer. I've been sitting here watching Chris and his facial expressions. He has no remorse for this. He thinks it's funny, and I think it's not.
All right, hold it down, guys. Just let's get through this, please. Any other citizens? Come on up, man.
I'd like to say something.
Let her come on, you'll be next, sir.
I'm Marjorie Peck, and I live in Texas. And I haven't lived here long, but I have lived here long enough to know that I'm a taxpayer. I'm not a voter. And your comments, the comments that have been made numerous times to us taxpayers that pay his salary are unprofessional. They're unmerited. We do not deserve that. We've been called more than just what he posted. He's used the city page and everything else to degrade us. And we're the ones that pay his salary. And it needs to change.
Good afternoon. Brad Gardner, 607 Fortner. My grandparents were here when the town was founded. I've been here all my life, in some capacity. And as the gentleman stated earlier, this behavior is it's not acceptable. I, for one, don't feel like buying a guy a house or increasing his salary if he's gonna call me an effing retard.
Anyone else in the audience? Just want to make sure everybody gets their say, so if you want to come up, please come up now.
Well, nobody said it really loud and clear. I would ask this council to really consider your choices that you make here today, because it's impacting the people that voted you into this office. So very clearly think about this decision, because it's it's probably, Mr. Wolf, the most important decision you're going to make while you're sitting in that seat for the next 2 months. So please, each and every one of you, take the personal out of it. This is business, and this is bad business on Chris's part. It's time for him to go. Please vote to have him terminated immediately.
Wanda Dog, New Mexico Drive. I've been watching what's been going on and not becoming of any professional seat, especially the seat you hold. We are kind of in a high profile right now within the state of Florida even, because of what we've been through since 2018. With our mayor's race, the recall, all of those things have put a bad stain on Mexico Beach. And Chris, shame on you. You added to it. This council does not deserve it. We have way too many things on our plate to be even dealing with this special meeting.
Is that all the citizens? Okay, when we close, we're going to come to the table, and I'm sure there's going to be things said at the table that you agree with or disagree with. I'd ask you to just hold it to yourself, because we're talking at the table. And we do. And I appreciate that. We'll get to an action at the end. Chris, you have the floor.
All right, Mayor and Council. I wrote everything down, so everybody just have to bear with me. And as I read this, it's 3 pages long, and I'll try to go through it rather quickly because I don't want to waste anybody's time before the action occurs. But is this, is my feelings? I want everybody to know, my side of the story, because right now everybody's just seeing what's on social media. I do want to thank everyone for being here this afternoon. Those who are here to offer their support, as well as those who are asking for my head. I say that with all sincerity because it will give me the opportunity to explain things, because as I just said, people have only seen what's been put on social media at this point. Obviously, I have to address the elephant in the room, which is a meme that I posted on my private personal Facebook page and has offended some people due to the meme using what I've seen some refer to as the R word in their complaints against me. If you're one of the people who was offended after this meme was shared on public pages, I want to sincerely, and I do mean sincerely, apologize to you, as this was not my intent. I am sorry for any pain or personal insult you may have felt. As I said, this was not my intent. However, contrary to what you've seen online, I am not lacking in understanding and compassion for those of you who are offended. I can and do relate to you and the reasons for which you feel that way. The people who are accusing me of being an unsensitive monster don't realize that, in addition to many friends who have children or other relatives who may suffer from sort of mental disabilities, I have a 23-year-old brother, 30 years younger than me, who suffers from autism. If you're wondering about the age difference, it's because my father and his current wife began dating whenever my father was in his 40s. She was 2 decades younger. They got married, and a few years later, they had a son, my brother, who's now 23, as I said. As my brother grew from an infant to a toddler to a child, it became obvious he wasn't advancing as other kids his age should. This was only amplified when he got to the age to begin going to school. I've watched as my dad and his wife, both lifelong educators, struggle with the many doctor's appointments, the nonstop testing, and the medications my brother was subjected to in attempting to determine the medical cause for his condition. I've watched as my dad and his wife have taken my brother to specialist and treatment centers, some only a few hours away from home, while others have been 2 or 3 days drive. I've watched as they've spent their earnings and now their retirements on therapists and tutors to assist my brother with his development as much as possible. I've seen the strain on them and their marriage from the stress of trying to help my brother. And I've watched as my dad and his wife have saved every cent possible, denying themselves a better quality of life so they can build a nest egg for my brother so that he will have funds available if and when something happens to them. And lastly, I've had those same tough talks with my 3 other siblings that some of you in this room have probably had with members of your family regarding what we can do as brothers and sisters if and when something does happen to my dad and his wife to support my brother, and which of us would be better suited for him to live with. My brother is a much better man than me. So if you saw the accusations online that I lack compassion, sympathy, or an all-around horrible person because I used the R word in a meme as some sort of slur, that is the furthest thing from the truth. Anyone who knows me, knows my family, and knows of the love I have for my brother, knows this to be a ludicrous accusation. Again, if you were offended by the meme, I'm not minimizing that, and I am sorry for any distress that caused you. But it was not my intention, and I would never use it as a slur against anyone, especially anyone who is actually handicapped. Just as I would never comprehend using the N word, me using the R word as a slur is so far removed from my mind that when I see it, I don't even contemplate the negative connotation of that word, but instead instinctively think of the alternative definitions for it. Silly and foolish. About the long hours I've been putting in and working 7 days a week in order to do both city administrator and finance director's duties and preparing the budget, which I don't mind doing in order to keep Mexico Beach moving forward, and I'm not using it as an excuse. I take full responsibility for my actions. But when I posted that meme on my private Facebook page, it was after reading multiple comments from people who didn't just criticize the budget, but made recommendations that would violate Florida law, break the bond covenants on our debt, and potentially require the city to immediately pay the remaining balance, and accuse me of secretly attempting to benefit myself financially through some of the items in the budget. To me, as someone who loves Mexico Beach and put my life on hold in Kentucky so I could come back here and try to help out, those things indeed seem silly and foolish to me. Most of you would probably agree. However, I didn't comment on the posts of those people. I did not engage with them in any way. Instead, as I have stated, I posted the meme as an attempt at humor on my private Facebook page. A page has been set to private for years so that people with whom I am friends can see my posts and no one else. Because those people who are my friends agree with me on most issues and understand my sense of humor. I've made dozens of posts on this same Facebook page regarding Mexico Beach, involving memes and videos where I'm poking fun at city employees, city hall staff, working in Mexico Beach in general, and a majority of time degrading and insulting myself through self-depreciating humor. None of these Facebook posts were ever or are ever intended for public consumption. I know my sense of humor is not for everyone, and that is why I kept my page set on private. However, none of my posts, this one or any others on my page, were ever meant to be intentionally derogatory, insulting, or hurtful. Unfortunately, someone I'd been friends with for 15 years or so, along with being a friend and former co-worker of her husband during my first time here, has become in the politics of Mexico Beach and engulfed in the conspiracy theories that have taken place here over the last few years, and saw this post as an opportunity to hurt me, even though she knows I am not the monster being portrayed on social media. She made the most of the opportunity, screenshotting the meme so she could share it with those who would have no problem in posting it on public pages, demonizing me as some heinous individual, and getting the result we are seeing here today. I bring this up because I want to take this opportunity to sincerely apologize to anyone who was upset with my post. But I also want to take this time to apologize for her. I want to believe her and her husband are genuinely good people who are listening to the wrong people today.
She's a teacher.
Wow.
She was a special needs teacher. Of course you pissed her off.
All right, thank you, that's good.
While I was the intended target of this act, based on the people in this room, it has obviously affected a lot more than just me. Over the last 11 months, I've been shocked of the hatred and vitriol in the politics of Mexico Beach, where unfortunately people seem unwilling to disagree with, in Mexico Beach, unfortunately, people seem unwilling to debate an issue on its merits and then agree to disagree. If there's no resolution to be found, instead what I've seen here are some people who, if they disagree with someone on any subject, that person then becomes a mortal enemy, and the goal turns into destroying their career, life, and reputation if possible, while facts, the truth, and collateral damage be banned. Innocent people are not involved in politics or being negatively impacted and hurt, and it should not be this way in Mexico Beach. Unfortunately, I don't know the solution. And unfortunately, after today, I'm not sure if I will be here to work on a solution, as my future at Mexico Beach is now in the hands of the City Council. I would love to remain here, but in case I'm not given that opportunity, I want everyone to know unquestionably the following two things at the end of this meeting. One, that I am very sorry to anyone who was hurt or insulted by the meme I posted, as well as those who were negatively impacted by it in any way after it was posted on public social media. And two, that I'll always love Mexico Beach. Mayor, you have the floor back.
Can we I'll ask, can we enter that into records?
If you will tender it to the clerk, it will be entered in.
I'd like to have that public records.
Yes, sir.
That's it, Chris?
That's it.
All right, we're gonna have to move to the table, ahead and go through this. I wanna make sure each council person has their say. I'm not a go around the table guy, I'm a talk at the table guy, so I'll go ahead and start. And I just wanna, when I first read this on Sunday morning, coming out of church that morning, I was highly impacted by it. And I was not happy about it. I know as a businessman and an owner of businesses over the years, two of the things you need to watch when you're doing this type of business up here is actions towards employees as a manager, and then again, the exposure that you have to the city and citizens. Those are two very concerning things. One is the action right? Is it, for whatever happened, is it equal to it? You want to make sure. Then the other, on the exposure side, is you got to make sure that you're not exposing yourself to additional lawsuits, costs to citizens, things like that. So all of that was looked at on my side. What I did, I went back and I said, well, what do I know about social media that's been happening with our city administrator? I know on January the 4th, 2024, we had a meeting here that ended abruptly. And it ended after there was a motion to dismiss Chris, and it didn't go through, and pretty much the whole meeting ended. That should have never happened. What should have happened was that should have been step one for Mr. Chris, and he should have got a letter of reprimand. And I believe that motion would have came from Mr. Welly or myself, just from the conversation that was going on in the room. So for me to ignore that the first thing hasn't happened, and I cannot say that I don't acknowledge that this is a problem already. It was a problem. The sentiments at that table was that what he did was unprofessional, and it was a social media post. So I took that into account. Then I went and I looked at his personal file. In his personal file, I read his, the things that were put in there. Well, guess what? There's only one thing in there. And it wasn't a letter from Miss Miller. It was a reprimand from Miss Hamilton. So, as far as anything more than that, or being said that there was more than that, that's it. There's one letter in there. That is it. So, there's no paper trail.
Mine's public record, I was assuming Chris.
One more time, Miss Miller, and you're out the door.
Oh, right.
Okay?
Do that.
Yes, ma'am. So reading that there's no paper trail, obviously there's some risk here. That's what I say to myself. And I'm just giving you my part, okay? But I'm also gonna tell you that I don't agree with anything he said up there on that page. And I'm totally against it. And I have the same sentiments that I said when I was an owner. That's how I feel. So I'm prepared to vote. I thought what I need to do, and I'm prepared to vote when it comes around. But I'd like to hear everything else from the council and what they have to say. So we'll get and open the table, and anybody can start. Everybody's ready?
I'll go ahead and start. Going back to what Chris actually said in his post about people criticize his ideas for improving Mexico Beach. Maybe that's because the people of Mexico Beach don't coincide with his ideas. I have been very worried lately about some of the suggestions that he's made. And I feel like that wave of public opinion was already building against him. The idea about, 3 condos, the idea about getting into the real estate business, just possibly investing in precious things like gold when no other city and you said that, no other city in the state of Florida has done that. So to me, that exhibits impulsive behavior. Those kind of ideas concern me actually more than this post. Different things like at one point you wanted to take Sunset Park and let Hector just go ahead and have his business there. I can't imagine that blue shed and all his flags hanging there when people are trying to see the sunset. Impulsive behavior is what that would be, to come up with an idea like that. And it just kind of goes on and on, with different things. Some things that are in the budget, wanting to give yourself what amounts to a 13% raise. When you were hired, you were offered $85,000, and then you came back with $105,000. We didn't just to me, those are all impulsive ideas. Whether they happen or not, whether this council approves them or not, those are impulsive ideas. Those things concern me about your behavior even more than something like this. So in my opinion, when a person blatantly violates policy, they terminate themselves.
I just want to interject one thing, and I apologize for this, but just so it's not sent out there, that there's not a $13,000 increase there. There's 2 pay grades there. One is his, and 70% of it is his, and another percentage, I believe, is either Julie or
Julie, 25.
Yeah, the 25. So that percentage is not an increase for that.
But still, if we've already given him $20,000 more than we planned to a year ago, why does he deserve any raise?
You're right. Okay.
All right. Well, bear with me. It's kind of a big decision here. When it first came out, the post was obviously very appalling, I will say, and it still is. And it was Sunday. this is coming from. So Monday, I had a talk with Chris. I mean, I just went in there and was like, what do you know, and of course it was it's my personal page and that, but I did not agree with hearing that as the excuse. It's just put us in a real bad situation. All of us. Him, the citizens, us. And we're gonna make a decision here today. It's gonna impact the city, it's gonna impact a person. That's a big deal. And we've been sitting here, I know we've all been just trying to digest it, and I've taken it to the last minute here and wanted to hear everything. And I'm torn between two things here. One, it's happened before. And now it's happened again. And I understand what's on the media. I mean, I never had Facebook until 6 months ago. I don't want to go into all that. But I read the stuff. And it is constant. But we are held to a higher standard. I mean, unfortunately, we can't get on there sometimes and vent. And it's probably best because I think, like in this situation, it could have been off the cuff. But anyway, so I got that side that says, I just don't know if it's, I think it could happen again. Okay? And I'm just going to go quickly to the other side and ask the employees. Excuse me. Have you ever talked to them of how the morale is now and how things are getting better? So maybe I'm a little emotional. But you got two sides here, and I know we got to do what's right. What we have been through, and I was a citizen, in the last year, 14 months, whatever you want to call it, it's just ridiculous. I mean, and I talked to the employees, and they've been through 7 administrators. I mean, what are we doing? I mean, this is as a whole. It's the citizens, it's us. I mean, and now we're in this position. And we're gonna make a decision today. But I guess I just don't wanna, and if any employees wanna speak, any department heads, offer anything, I'm hey, or if that's not the right thing to do, then say it ain't. But I can tell you, it's not all been bad, at all. And I just hate that we're here because I feel like things were leveling out. There's always going to be people that have differences of opinion. Don't like what we do, we don't like what they do, whatever. But now here we are, and Chris, I mean, you put us here. I don't know what else to say.
Thank you.
Can we have quiet, please? I don't speak really loud, and if you want to hear me, I ask that you be quiet. So first off, I have thought a lot about this, and I appreciate all the input I got. I got a couple dozen emails, phone calls, texts with opinions and advice, and I thank you for that. please reach out to us and let us know what you're thinking. And I want to tell you, like Jason, I haven't made a decision. I find this very difficult. However, I think that whatever we do has to be in the best interest of the city. I was called by a former member of this council and told to be professional, not let my friendship with Mr. Hubbard affect us. And I find that insulting. I would never do that. I think I'm an ethical person and professional, and so what I have to say, please keep in mind that I'm presenting you my thoughts, and I'm still struggling with what the right decision is. So first off, I went back to the timeline of this, and I will tell you that this isn't the first time. Back in January 4th of 2023, the council held a meeting to look at disciplining Mr. Hubbard. That vote was 3-2 not to terminate Mr. Hubbard, and unfortunately, the current mayor adjourned that meeting without a motion to do so, and I don't know why. And I believe, as Mr. Wolf has stated, or Mayor Wolf, that they probably would have taken some action at that time, a reprimand at least, against Mr. Hubbard. And in my opinion, that would have made this so much easier because he would have already been given a warning, and this would be the point where, you know, too bad, so sad, you've had it. But that wasn't done, and nothing followed it. And our city, our employee handbook, has a thing called progressive discipline, where we state that in order to help employees grow and keep employees, discipline is progressive unless it's a very severe case, meaning it might be a verbal warning, a written warning, and then termination. And I'm not saying that there aren't instances where something is so egregious that you don't terminate them. But that is our policy. That I don't believe that was followed with Mr. Hubbard. I have sat here and I've watched the past two city administrators I've been here for be hammered, and they can't respond to the comments that are made about them, and that seems very unfair to me. However, I understand your right to express your concerns or issues with the council and the city administrator. I have to ask the attorney. Protection, and there are some examples of where that goes with. Would you take a minute to explain that?
Well, there are cases out there that talk about First Amendment rights of an individual. Often it is a lower level individual that may be making those statements. But there are cases also that talk about that the First Amendment doesn't protect certain kinds of speech, okay? And in particular, one case I saw, the quote was, "The First Amendment does not require a public employer to tolerate an embarrassing, vulgar, vituperative, ad hominem attack, even if the attack touches on a matter of public concern." So that says to me, under certain circumstances, the First Amendment doesn't protect certain speech. And in this case, and regardless of how it got there, I understand it was posted on the city Facebook page. Whether with his permission or not, I'm hearing it wasn't. But as far as the First Amendment protection, I think there are cases that go both ways. But I think either way, as I say, that's an 11th Circuit case from 1998 that talked about the kind of speech. So that's where I would say, I don't believe that his speech, if he made it directly on the city website, the city social media post, might have First Amendment protection. The question is whether or not he would have any kind of First Amendment protection, given that citizens were on his personal website and brought it to the city website. That's a different, maybe a different set of facts, but I think the law, of course, there are no facts directly on this, but I think the law could cover the city depending upon what the city wants to do based upon that 1998 case. But I also understand that Chris is saying that he didn't authorize it to be there, but it's still speech, one way or the other. So, you know, and you're right, you do have a employee handbook, and of course it actually has a section on social media, and so the question is did he violate that section and thus commit some kind of misconduct that you all would not approve of, which would potentially affect his situation here. So
That's my question.
well, the ultimate decision is your decision. The law is such that I think that if you were to decide that from an employer standpoint, that what he did not rise to the level, or what he didn't do, or what somebody else did to him, did not rise to the level of the disciplinary action, whatever disciplinary action you're thinking of taking, that's one thing. But I'm not as concerned about the First Amendment protection argument given the cases I've seen.
Okay. So, please don't take offense to this. That was about as clear as mud. And
well, then that was my job.
And
No, so the First Amendment, I would not worry about. The question is simply, did he violate your trust?
Policy or standards, right?
And did he violate the policy? And did he commit misconduct that would justify some kind of disciplinary action? Whatever that is, and of course, it says in that particular section, may result in disciplinary actions up to and including termination. So,
all right, so
it's in there.
I'm not a stupid man, I'm not the smartest man in the world, but I did do some research on this, and my opinion is he doesn't have First Amendment protection because it was what it said, and it goes beyond reasonable. However, I would ask you, when you post something on Facebook on your private site to your friends, do you expect that to be shared to everyone?
Absolutely.
It could be, yes.
It
If
could
it's out
be.
there, it's out there.
Okay, sorry, I didn't mean.
Absolutely.
Rhetorical question.
All the time.
So.
It's out there, it's out there.
So I am struggling with that. I found it very insulting. Many of you know, I have a 12-year-old granddaughter who's here this summer, who has special needs, very severe special needs. And I did find it insulting. I found the whole thing insulting. And going back, that was on his personal Facebook page that was shared. That was not on the city's website. There were two things done on the city's website back in November of 23, I believe, or sometime in there, that I believe should have had some disciplinary actions. So I go back to, and like the mayor, I did look at reprimand, personal reprimand to Mr. Hubbard, and I looked at the performance evaluations, and everyone rated him as at least meeting expectations. And I don't recall seeing anything in there that mentioned any social media issues. So I'm surprised by that, given everything that's occurred. So So what does all that mean? I am torn because on one hand, I find his behavior very offensive and it continues, and I am concerned, as Mr. Adams is, that it could continue. But on the other hand, I don't believe the timing of this is in the best interest of the city. We are really in the middle of one of the most important periods of time. And I'm not sure how we're going to handle that with this termination. So I know that shouldn't count in this decision, but it does concern me greatly. That's kind of where I'm at, and I'm sorry. I tried to look at things objectively, and I was hoping to have a decision before I came here, but I'm still struggling with that decision. This is a big decision, and it has huge consequences for the city, and that's my comments.
If Chris would get hit by a car tomorrow, we'd be dealing with the same things on the budget.
Absolutely.
So that's what made me, we're gonna have to deal with stuff anyways, I understand it. I like to go back with Jason thing. Chris, you put us in a bad situation, that's what I'd like to say. That's what happened, that's where we're at. How do we deal with that? This is an employee action issue as far as I'm concerned. As far as the exposure to the city, I think we have some exposure. I believe we do not have good documentation. And that's not right. So then I say to myself, could I release an employee for what he said one time? Absolutely.
Yes.
Not a good situation, said, I believe it. Anything else at the table, Jerry?
Oh, go ahead. No, I thought she was.
I'm sorry. Going back to the concern about the budget, that is a preliminary budget, so there's a long way to go in that budget. There are other resources that can help us with that budget, not just the CA. That's just something. I have actually already contacted Mel Skowski, I forgot how to say his name, but anyway, he was a previous city administrator who had filled in for us recently when we had a gap. He once again said he would graciously be able to fill in temporarily until we had somebody else. He knows how to do a budget. He would be very competent. So if that is our decision, we have our backup. So we would be
Told
me. He said, I spoke to him about a day ago. He's out of town with his family. He'll be in Sunday and he'll be available after that. He doesn't plan to move for quite a while. He doesn't even have his house on the market or anything.
So just real quick on that. So it's not just the budget. We have accomplished a lot. So and as Jason's mentioned, we have changed city administrators a lot of times, and I think this will greatly. Could I please speak without interruptions? All right, I'm sorry. I'll stop speaking. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
You're addressing the wrong person, right?
Tim, go ahead.
Who are you talking to?
I don't know. Whoever's back there talking and mumbling. No, I'm good.
Take a breath and finish.
Finish. Get it out of your system. Please.
I said, motions are running high, guys. This is just the way it's gonna go until we get through this process. I'd like to hear what Tim had to say.
So, again, I appreciate the fact that what he has done is very egregious. I also appreciate the fact that we've had so much turmoil that I'm concerned about the impact of this. And I'm very angry that Chris has put us in this position. And I don't know if it will continue or if we just need to, but I don't think the employees here have been in such a good frame of mind in a long time. And I'm speaking for them, but I just feel that. And so this is a very critical period in this city's history. So, all right, thank you.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, I got 3 or 4, 5 things. Mr. Hub, I need to take you out back. Give you what they did to me. You have put me in this city. Bad. Really, you have. And it's hard for me to accept an apology from you for what I don't have but 9 months left. Not if something changes. And yeah, I thought we were smooth sailing. I thought we was gonna get, then you did this. You did this to me. It's hard. It's been hard. You know that. I ripped your butt yesterday. But for the employees, you see it. You see it. These people. And girls. Right.
Ladies.
Man, they're still girls to me. When you go to the mall market, they say girls or ladies. Tammy? The men that's here, I really appreciate it. You have changed them from gunning till they really enjoy going to work. Our personnel, you have changed them, and that's good. We have a lot of projects that we need to get done. I'd like to get mine in January, bathroom finished before you left. But you, I don't know what's gonna happen. We was moving forward in a rapid, and we was getting things done, and then this comes about. Ms. Hamilton, I looked up the average cost of a county administrator. I got Julie to do it for me. It was $124,000 average on a city this size, so he's
I
on
might
pay.
dispute that with you in just a minute.
I'm hard to hear it.
I said I'll be disputing that with you in just a minute.
You-
Have
I'd
another
rather
set of
be over that than the girls and ladies.
facts.
And the January 24th meeting, which he did this before, there's nobody to blame in this room but me and him. Him, me, both of us was on the council. But it turned into turmoil, and the meeting was adjourned, nothing happened. But at the discussion at the table that he was gonna get reprimanded, but it didn't end that way. It didn't. And in his file, if you look in the file, the only thing he has in his file is what Ms. Hamilton said. He has nothing else in his file. To me, that means a lot. The last, whatever y'all want to do, man, you don't bother me a bit now. Please, you don't bother me. You might bother Tim, but you don't bother me. Is that what he's done since he's been here, the good outweighs the bad. They are and move and haul. And that man right there has turned this city around. And we headed in the right direction. What he did was wrong. Wrong. What do we do if we left up to this council? But I thank all y'all for coming, I really do. I appreciate all the emails. I don't respond to emails, you don't know that. I got arthritis hands. I don't do good at emails. Call me. Thank you.
Did you have something to say?
I just wanted to say, if we're going back to the social media thing, if there's been 3 events of that, whether it was written up or reprimanded or not, it still happened. And obviously there was not a lesson learned. And I think the expression three strikes and you're out would apply here.
Anything else on the table?
Yeah. Just, like I said, the last 12 or 14 months, we went through a lot as the citizens and up here. And there were a lot of things. There was a lot that went on. You all know what I'm talking And some things were done, and some people were removed. And there was a reason for that. And it's just hard not to address this behavior in the proper way. And, you know, and all the good, and it's up to us. And we have to keep this city moving. And whatever happens here today, I would hope that y'all go home tonight and not claim this as some victory. All right?
I just want to speak on a little bit of the sentiments of what's going on at the table that I hear, okay? Obviously, there's a wrong here that's had to be righted, and we have to come to a decision on something. Citizens need to understand, if this is the worst scenario is going to be the worst scenario for the city also. We're going to struggle without a city administrator because it isn't at breakfast and you take the 3 and you hire 1. And it's that quick and you make that decision right there. This process could take a month, maybe 6 weeks to do. Just keep that all in mind, that if this does go to the worst scenario, this city's gonna be impacted. We're gonna have to do some work. And we're up to it. My decision is not gonna be made because of the budget. As much as I was posted on social media. It's insulting. It's absurd. We give our time. We give our time here. The same as you give up your time right now to come because you're concerned. I'm concerned.
And I was just gonna say, as far as the concern about another city administrator, we have someone who has said he will step up to the plate. He's available as of Sunday. He said he'd be glad to do that temporarily until we find someone new. So we can't really use that excuse. That's just gonna buy us more time to find somebody that's gonna do a good job when they are hired.
And I hope that when I just got done talking, I wasn't looking for an excuse, okay? Because I've already talked to some people too, so I'm trying to come up with solutions.
So, Mayor, so I feel like I'm kind of being accused of basing my decision on the budget. But I just want to be clear, that is part of my thought process. I'm thinking more of the impact that this is going to have on the city, not just the budget. I know we can get to the budget. I've talked to someone who said they would also help us with the budget, and I know it'll be difficult. But I just think, I am so ticked off that we're in this position when we're doing so well. So I'm just telling you that it should probably be a consideration of what the position the city's gonna be in, and I'm having a hard time with trying not to make it one, because I think this should be judged on the merits alone, not on the impact. But I'm just telling you, frankly, that I have a concern if we do terminate Mr. Hubbard. We're going to suffer, and he has done a good job. I wish he could keep his Facebook posts to himself. But thank you.
Anything else at the table?
Chris, you got anything else? I'm sorry?
I'm sorry?
I'm just asking, how do you feel? I shouldn't say you're not your feelings, but you've heard what's going on.
I mean, like I said, whenever I read my statement, I take full responsibility. It's in the council's hands. Wish it would never happen. Didn't expect it to happen. It was meant to be somewhat humorous for people that get my sense of humor.
But I mean, as far, in mind, you were commenting on that, but you really think you could not do it again?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I don't
it's a big decision here.
I understand. And I apologize for putting everybody in this situation.
Let me ask you this question. Could you not?
Yeah, Facebook doesn't drive my life.
Hold it down right here.
I just want to be pointed out in public.
Thank you. Attorney, you have anything to say before we move on?
Sir, it's your decision
Okay.
to make at the table.
We're at the table, we've completed at the table, and I guess at this time I'm gonna ask for a motion for action.
I'll make a motion that the City Council of Mexico Beach terminate Chris Hubbard from his position as the city administrator immediately.
Do you have a second? Do you have any more discussion
Chris,
or another suggestion?
you know we can't allow it. I just said we can't allow it to continue.
Do we have another motion, or do we,
I make a motion, we recommend the stew out of it. That's my motion.
Take off the
Wasn't that the two of them, you said reprimand or something? I make a motion for reprimand. And make him stay off Facebook.
I don't even know if we can do that. I don't
I'm
think
not
so.
sure what reprimand the stew out of it can equate to.
You ain't old enough yet, Mr. Sloan.
Well, wait a minute now, I might be, but I'm just not sure in the legal
Reprimand.
context what that
We don't
means.
reprimand it.
all right, let's get it organized at the table here. We had a motion to terminate, that was no second.
I'll second it.
Second.
I'll second it. I second the motion to terminate.
Are we good on that, because it was a
We
step
need to
off?
have a vote.
Well, you didn't close the.
Okay, we're gonna close that motion and reopen it, because he started talking.
Okay, so if you get another motion and it gets a second, and
Let's start this over again, guys, because we had a second, or, excuse me, a motion, the second didn't come. We had some conversation over here and conversation over here, so we didn't get it clarified. Let's go ahead and get it clarified. Is there a motion for action?
Yes, I make a motion for action to terminate Chris Hubbard from his position as city administrator, effective immediately.
I second the motion.
Tammy, take the roll.
Ms. Hamilton,
Yes.
Mr. Smith,
No.
Mr. Linderman,
Yes.
Mayor Wolf,
Yes.
Mr. Adams.
Yes. Exactly what we're talking about.
Not where we wanted to go. All right, hold it down, guys, just for a second here. We need to go through a couple things. I'm gonna pass this letter out to everybody. Pass one down, Chris. Kevin, I'm gonna have you read that, okay? I'm gonna have, go ahead and have Tammy read the termination letter that was prepared. You okay?
I would rather Mr. Taylor.
Okay, that's fine. My reading, yes, please.
addressed to Hiram C. Hubbard. A termination letter. Dear Mr. Hubbard, as you know, in a meeting of the City Council in January of this year, your activity on social media was discussed, and the sentiment of the council was that your social media postings were not acceptable, did not reflect well on the professionalism of your position, and were not appropriate by city standards. Now, your most recent social media posting last week has been brought to the attention of the City Council. Based upon the repeated inappropriate social media activity, the City Council had voted to terminate your employment with the city, effective immediately for misconduct as defined in section 443.036, subparen 29, Florida statutes, in accordance with Section 4D of your employment agreement. If you have any further questions, please do not hesitate to contact me. Sincerely, Mayor Richard Wolf.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Since he is terminated because of cause, does that mean he does not get any financial compensation?
We'll go over all that, and that is most likely, yes.
Okay.
Well, my question to you, Mr. Swan, is that the first two lines I made, there's no record of it. I mean, it was discussed, you wrote this, Richard. I mean,
That's
how
all
can
part of the contract.
The first 3 lines?
We're not gonna argue about the
I
letter.
don't want you to argue with me, I'm just saying that right there, we have no, me and you did that, now, that wasn't on the minutes, I don't think it was. How can you put that?
Whoa, 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 me and you did what?
Me and you was on the city council in January,
Correct,
right?
correct,
When the meeting got adjourned,
correct.
right? And you got this on the first 3 lines here in January, when we would, nobody, where can you show me that we did what we did right there, we was gonna reprimand?
Oh, you're asking why the January was mentioned?
The meeting, I mean, you
Yes.
don't have no action.
That's on record, it's a public record.
Oh, the video, yeah.
Yes.
Oh, we're good to go then.
All right, Chris, if you said you could walk your office, we'll meet you, one of us will meet you over there. We'll get an adjourn over here.
We all got a meeting at 6 o'clock, I'll do it tomorrow.
Yeah, this is effective immediately.
Can you,
Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna get an adjourn this meeting. Please let Chris walk out first. Tim, can I ask you to walk over with Chris while he goes over to his office, please? Tim, watch everything. Okay, we're gonna get adjourn this meeting, and at 6 o'clock.